Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib. We got a great show for you today, and if you want to call and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857, and let's get started with it. Beeb, it's a big fight this weekend.
Huge fight.
Yeah, real big fight. John Ryder on DAZN pay-per-view. When I think of big pay-per-views, I think of John Ryder. Let me tell you that. John Ryder versus Canelo Alvarez for the undisputed 168-pound championship. To nobody's surprise, nobody at all, Canelo Alvarez smashed John Ryder with a unanimous decision. Scores were 120, 107, 118, 109 twice. Typical squash match. My own daughter. My own daughter.
You had to get it. You deserve it, man. Many of those I've had to take in the face, and awful. Finally, you get your just desserts.
Humiliating, just awful.
I told you the fight was going to go the distance.
By the way, yeah, you're grounded. All right, you know what? Yeah, let me wipe off here, and then I'll come back. How about that? Yeah. All right, go.
So, this was a very surprising outcome to a lot of people. A lot of people did not expect Ryder to go the distance here. I felt as though Canelo coming off the wrist surgery, I thought there's been some wear and tear on Canelo. I thought he was slowing down just a bit. And I know Ryder's a tough guy. The one time Ryder was stopped 8 years ago, I felt as though it was a questionable stoppage by Howard Davis. So, this was a good fight. It was a good card overall. I didn't have a problem with the card overall. I know people complained about buying the pay-per-view, but that was a great event. Once you saw the crowd, you saw the reception, you saw just the energy in that arena. It kind of got me excited and it got me really enthusiastic about the fight. But let's talk about Canelo Alvarez in this fight. So I thought he got off to a slow start like he normally does, but he was using his jab a little bit more than normal in the beginning, right? And he was trying to get close to John Ryder. John Ryder was trying to, deal with him on the inside a little bit. But Canelo, being the quicker guy, being the better counterpuncher, he was able to time John Ryder most of the time. John Ryder, every now and then, would sneak in a right uppercut, right? Sleeping like a right uppercut every now and then. He would land a good straight left every now and then. But the big thing was Canelo is definitely the heavier handed of the two. And he was able to hurt John Ryder when John Ryder really wasn't able to hurt Canelo significantly. He would buzz him every now and then, but he couldn't hit him with anything to basically turn the fight around in his favor, push Canelo back, make Canelo think twice, in other words, where Canelo was landing some good body shots early on. He was really closing the distance. John Ryder is another guy who, just like Canelo, they both don't have very quick feet. So it wasn't hard for Canelo to track Ryder down, and Ryder is right there. Although he is a little bit cagey with his head movement, a little bit cagey with his angles and foot positioning on the inside. Canelo is just as cagey and that much more on the inside, and that's where this fight was fought. For the most part, this fight was fought pretty much in a phone booth. Occasionally, Ryder would be trapped up against the ropes. Every now and then, Canelo would be up against the ropes, but he always would spin out and fight off the ropes. He wasn't there for very long, but there were some stretches in this fight where Ryder was up against the ropes, and Canelo was doing some good body work. But after that fifth round, when Canelo landed that big right hand and hurt Ryder and knocked him down, I started seeing a little bit of a change in Canelo Alvarez. He wasn't throwing that right hand with as much snap. He wasn't throwing it down the pike. He was looping and clubbing with it more so. And I got the sense that after that fifth round, there was an issue with Canelo Alvarez's right hand in the fight. You back?
I am back.
Yeah. So I was just saying after the 5th round, I got the sense that there was an issue with Canelo's right hand because he was throwing it straight from rounds 1 through 5. But after that 5th round, I thought he started kind of looping with it more, almost clubbing with it a little bit more, throwing it in an overhand looping fashion as opposed to throwing it straight. And that straight one that he did land was the one that did the most damage. And after a while, I thought Ryder was catching it. And even the times that Canelo would land with the looping shot, he was, I thought Ryder was partially blocking it. And I know Eddie Hearn said this, and I kind of noticed this too, but Canelo kind of looked down at his hands and got the sense that maybe something was wrong with both hands. I know he was a little bit hesitant, admittedly so, early in the fight with the left hand because he just had the surgery and he had to get his confidence back. He admitted that. But that was a punch in this fight that I thought was non-existent, was the left hook. And also, like I said, the right hand, he wasn't really snapping it after the 5th round like he was early on. And I thought that's why, even though he was landing and pushing John Ryder back, and obviously he caused the bloody nose, and because of that bloody nose, John Ryder had a lot of issues with the breathing, and he couldn't really step on the gas himself. So he was compromised to some degree because of the nose. But I just felt like there was just something missing from Canelo, even though he was dominating in terms of winning rounds. I just didn't see that same fire, that same snap, that same effective aggressiveness that I normally have seen. And I didn't see there was a little bit off his fastball yesterday. He wasn't as sharp and quick with those shots. And like I said, he just wasn't really throwing that right hand with confidence after that 5th round. Like I said, he wasn't really turning it, twisting it, throwing it straight. Because I think there was something wrong with it. Because sometimes, if you have a bruised hand or there's an issue with your hand, you change the way you throw the punch in order to alleviate the pain that it's causing when you make impact. So when you throw it straight, you're twisting and you're pushing. You're actually twisting and pushing. You're causing a heavier impact as opposed to if you're coming over the top and maybe not totally turning it over. So I got the sense that there was something wrong. I thought, he was starting to get a little tired in the last 3 rounds. With all that being said, though, it was still a 10-2 fight. It was a fight that he dominated, but something just seemed a bit off to me. And I just got the sense that there was a little bit of the shine and glitter taken off of Canelo Alvarez last night. And I will say this, I think he peaked in that second Golovkin fight. And after that, he started to kind of slip just precipitously from there on out. And
that was probably the best we've seen him is that second Golovkin fight.
Correct.
That and the Danny Jacobs fight.
Yeah. And now what I'm seeing is he's still great in comparison to the division. He's still up, he's still up there. But I think he's 85% of what he was at his peak in that second Golovkin fight. And that 85% still may be enough to still continue to dominate this division. On paper, I think the Benavidez fight, in my opinion, is a 50-50 fight. Now, some people may disagree, but I think that's a 50-50 fight. The Bivol fight, I just think is a horrible style matchup. That's
either way, whether he goes at 168 or where you get it at 175, it's an awful fight for him. It's really bad. Boxing, thank you so much, my friend. He says, does Jerry think the Canelo Ryder fight was competitive? Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. It wasn't competitive on the scorecards. He never, and I will tell you this, according to the punch stat, he never outlanded Canelo in any round. From 1 to 12, he never outlanded Canelo. What was he knocked down? Once in that fight or twice? Was he not? I thought he was knocked down twice.
Knocked down once, but the second
fifth round, right?
Yeah, the second knockdown, it was called the slip. Some people thought it was a clear knockdown.
That was a knockdown. Yeah, that second knockdown was a knockdown too.
It's debatable.
It kind of reminds me of the De La Hoya Steve Forbes fight, and I always go back to this, where it's a complete one-sided fight, but I don't have to pull the other guy out of there. You know what I mean? Nobody was looking to stop. John Ryder wasn't going to get stopped in this fight. It was pretty obvious, but he was severely outclassed in this fight.
Yeah,
I mean, was it a better fight? And somebody asked, did I think it was a better fight than? Yeah, absolutely. It was a good.
It was a good fight. It wasn't a bad fight.
It was a good fight. It wasn't a bad fight. I still wouldn't have paid for it. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad fight. It was a good fight. Ryder was definitely game. I thought, you go back to Chavez Haugen, back when they had their thing in Mexico, and Haugen came in there, and Chavez completely demolished that guy in 5 rounds. He did exactly what he was supposed to do and what everybody expected him to do. Canelo, not so much. I mean, you're talking about, what is it, 50,000 fans in that stadium over there?
Yeah.
And to carry this guy the distance, but let's give John Ryder some credit, man. And you called it. You were saying it all week long. There's no way he's knocking out Ryder. And, you and I both bet on that. You and I both bet to go the distance. We both won that. And I wouldn't have bet it. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have bet it if it wasn't for you, because you were adamant about it. And when I looked at it, I
make a lot of people money. I make a lot of people money here.
Hey, you made me some money yesterday. I'll tell you that. And so you look at this, and you look at like John Ryder, and he's only been stopped once. And you're right, that fight shouldn't have been stopped.
Horrible stoppage. That good old Howard Farster, who stops everything.
He sucks, So we knew he was tough. We knew he was going to be tough. I tell you what, I had 2 schools of thought here. If Canelo doesn't get him in the mid rounds, he's going to go the distance. You know what I mean? And that's what I thought. He thought he was going to get him around the 6th round, is what I thought. But yeah, man, he should have. He should have taken him out. He had that guy. He had a dead man in round 5. He was done. Why he couldn't pull the trigger? Why couldn't get him out of there? Hey, listen, only he knows. But hey, all credit to John Ryder. He's a tough guy. Again, but it was what we thought it was going to be. It was a squash match. No?
Yeah, it was.
Listen, you can't call a 120 to 109 fight anything else.
I gave Ryder 2 rounds. I gave him the 10th and the 12th. Some people gave him the 11th. I don't know. I gave him 2 rounds. I thought it was a very one-sided fight.
And even with Canelo gassing at the end,
Yeah, here's the thing. The expectations of Canelo are always going to be high. Some people may say he gets treated unfairly because of that.
Yeah,
sure he does. If you would have graded that performance, I gave him a B. But here's the thing: a B is not good enough when you're expected to get an A. Right.
Every time out. Now, especially against Ryder, because this was a come-up fight for you. This is a comeback fight for you in the sense that, you lost to Bivol. You're trying to get Bivol again. Let's take you to Mexico. Let's put you in there with somebody, and let's let you get that confidence back. And I mean, yeah, again, he won every round, but at the same time, dude, you didn't. We expected you to knock this guy out. That's what you were supposed to do in your home country.
What do I always say when we watch fights like this? I'm not watching Canelo Alvarez and looking at how he's doing against John Ryder. I'm envisioning him in there with David Benavidez and Dimitri Bivol. And I'm going to be honest. A lot of people really dismiss David Benavidez. They think he's this caveman who has no boxing skills. He's easy to hit, no defense. And I'm here to tell you, I see something totally different with David Benavidez. There's a method to his madness. He's the type of guy that he is thinking defense and offense simultaneously. When he's coming forward with that high guard and he's catching your shots, parrying them, knocking them down, and coming over the top with his own while he's coming forward, stepping around you with the free hand. He's maneuvering and manipulating you, and then with the other punch hand that he's ready to shoot the punch with, he's grabbing you and coming up underneath. This guy is crafty in his own right. Now, obviously, he's not crafty Canelo Alvarez level. Canelo Alvarez, you could definitely argue, is a harder puncher, but David Benavidez is a skilled fighter in his own right. He's a very good combination puncher. He's a fluid combination puncher. He knows how to fight on the inside. He has a very underrated, stiff, hard jab. His jab is not just a rangefinder. It's a jab that he moves around and he throws it hard, and he's pushing you back, knocking you off balance. This guy is forcing you to always have to reset yourself because he's knocking you off balance, constantly pushing you back. It's a smart pressure. It's a pressure when he's coming forward. Like I said, he's catching those shots. He's hard to hit clean. And you saw it in the Caleb Plant fight. Like, his defense was on point. Like Caleb Plant only landed like 18 to 20% of his punches in that fight. And David Benavidez has a way of just catching those shots, parrying them, knocking your hands down, forcing you to have to reposition your hands, creating those openings. He's just very, very crafty. He's a good body puncher all around. Sneaky uppercuts on the inside. And people can say, oh, he got off to a slow start in that Plant fight. But look what he did in rounds 6 through 12. Like he destroyed him in those last 7 rounds. And you could argue that it was his plan to kind of let Plant get a little comfortable early on and let him kind of extend himself a little bit, make him draw him out a little bit. And then now that once he drew him out, that's when he started stepping on the gas. So I think this fight becomes much more interesting after this performance, believe it or not. And it's a no-brainer that this should be the next fight. The Bivol fight to me would be a horrible move. It's this to me, and call me crazy. This fight to me, Canelo Alvarez, David Benavidez, I'm saying it right now here, does 2 million pay-per-view buys.
It's huge.
That's
a huge fight. It's a huge fight.
It's a huge fight. It's a great fight. Mexican-American versus a Mexican. That's what a rivalry.
Love it. Love it. And then Dead Game Boxing, thank you. He says David Benavidez would have stopped Ryder. That's an interesting. Do you think? I don't know. I don't know.
I know. I
think
know
it's different styles.
Yeah, styles make fights. You know, we look at Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Marquez stopped Manny Pacquiao. Floyd Mayweather went the distance with him. Pacquiao knocked out Hatton in 2 rounds. Floyd Mayweather went 10. So you like to say combat math, and in some instances I agree with you, but in other instances I look at it like when I look at Ali and how he fought against Frazier and Norton. Both those guys had similar styles, and that was a style that I believe inside fighting. Ali is an outboxer. Ali always had problems with those inside guys. So in terms of that, you can look at stylistically if certain guys have similar styles that trouble a specific fighter. Yeah, then the combat math works. But when you try to apply combat math, like, well, this guy knocked him out and this guy didn't, and then you try to do all this. Here's the way I look at it. I think David Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez had similar performances against Caleb Plant. They both lost some early rounds, right? And they came on late. I had that fight dead even, Alvarez Plant, up until the time of the stoppage. I gave Plant 3 rounds in the Benavidez fight. Maybe you could give him 4, most. So, and most people that I talked to had the Canelo Alvarez fight like either 6-4, 5-5. So it was similar, but obviously the guy who scores the knockout, it's going to be looked at as more impressive. You ask any fighter, would they rather win by decision or knockout? Of course they're going to say knockout. So Canelo gets the edge there. I mean, if you want to give him the bragging rights because he stopped them and Benavidez did not, but they both gave away early rounds. And, early on, the fight was somewhat competitive in terms of the scoring, in my opinion, in a lot of people's opinion. So we try to do this combat math, and, maybe Benavidez would stop Ryder, because if you have Ryder on the ropes like that, like Canelo had him on the ropes, Canelo's throwing 1 shot at a time, right? What is David Benavidez doing when he got you on the ropes? He's firing on all cylinders. He's emptying out the clip. And if there's nothing coming back, whether Ryder's hurt or not, a referee could jump in there and stop the fight. So that is totally possible. But that doesn't take away anything Canelo did. Like, oh, he didn't stop him. This guy did. When we talk about AJ not stopping Franklin, when the skill gap and the levels are so high, so high and wide apart, of course that's a different situation. These are all guys in the top 10 fighting each other. It's a different way of looking at it, in my opinion. They're all,
you know how difficult it is to knock someone out. I mean, honestly, it really is. Whether it's just a guy in the gym, whether it's just, it's hard. It's not easy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I want to just give Canelo Alvarez a special thanks for winning by decision last night and putting $430 in my pocket at that plus 430. I don't like to gloat. I don't like to brag, but I do like to pay homage to people who do good things for me. Canelo Alvarez, thank you for not knocking out John Ryder like I didn't think you would, right? Whether you carried him or not to help me out, either way, I just want to thank you for putting money in my pocket. And in honor of that, I'm here in full Mexican garb to pay homage to Canelo Alvarez. And I got to say this,
to all the Mexican fans that showed up yesterday, because that's a win for boxing. When I could feel the energy on my sofa watching this, feel that energy from that crowd, and I'm not even there. That's a win for boxing. That's a win for boxing. So I'm not going to say anything negative about this fight or this card. I thought it was a decent card. It was a solid card.
Was it worth the $60 you spent?
55.
Was it worth it?
Of course it was.
It was worth. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Of course it was worth it.
Of course it was worth it. Yeah.
I mean, I got it back at FanDuel, so it's a sense.
You got it back at FanDuel.
I mean, you got back at FanDuel, right?
All right. So let me tell you this. So after the fight, I'll tell you what I found interesting. After the fight, he says he wants to fight Bivol, and we're all talking about what a horrible idea that Bivol is and everything like that. I get it, and I think his handlers get it too, and I think he gets it too. He wants to fight Bivol. He said at 175. Everything is the exact same because I understand the logic here, what he wants to do. He wants to recreate the same thing and say, I'm better than you at this weight, blah, blah, blah. 175. Bivol has already said, I'm not going to fight you at 175. I'm going to fight you at 168. That's it. Because there's nothing for you. There's nothing for me at 175. I can fight better for the unification. Is this Canelo's way of getting out of that fight without actually saying, you know what I mean? Because it's a way of saving face. Because he says, I'm going to fight you here when he knows he ain't going to fight him there. He knows that he wants to come down and win the Undisputed Championship there as well.
Once again, he also said at the post-fight press conference that when he was asked about who's going to fight next, he said he was open to fighting Benavidez. And he just, he said the same thing that you said about Bivol as well. I think when it's all said and done, and they sit down with Eddie Hearn and the Reynosos, and he has a talk with his management team, they're going to tell him not to take this Bivol fight, and they're going to tell him to go right into a Benavidez fight. That's my opinion. I don't think the Charlo fight happens.
You don't think this is a big fight?
I'm going to be honest with you.
Better fight. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a better fight than the Benavidez fight.
Oh, meaning in terms of difficulty and risk for reward.
It's a huge fight. It's a bigger fight.
But
bigger money fight with Benavidez, no question. Maybe.
I think the Benavidez fight, like I said, does 2 million pay-per-view buys. It's a monster event, and it's a very winnable fight for Canelo. I mean, a lot of people. I believe it's a 50-50 fight. Others don't. Others think Canelo is levels above Benavidez. You can make an argument. I'm not here to, say definitively that Benavidez is going to win the fight. What I do believe is he's going to win the fight, but I can't discredit anyone that disagrees with me, in other words, because it's on paper. It's a competitive fight.
It's a huge fight. Well, it's a huge fight.
It's a monster fight.
It's a monster fight. And it's a bigger fight than Charlo, but I think Charlo is a better fight for him.
I don't like the Charlo fight as a fan because I'm more interested in the Benavidez fight, but I understand where you're going from a business standpoint. I know exactly where you're going with it.
It's a big fight. It's a big name, and it's less risk than fighting Benavidez.
You could argue it's a bigger money fight than a Bivol fight.
Yeah,
you could put it on. You could put it on pay-per-view, and you have that rivalry, right? The American versus the Mexican rivalry, right?
You have that. It's huge.
You could sell that,
and you have it when
Mexican Independence Day. Mexican Independence Day on September 15th, whatever
16th,
that weekend.
Yeah,
but I hate the fight. I hate the fight because I think the Benavidez fight, as a fan, I want the Benavidez fight. I think the Benavidez fight to me is a win-win all around because it's
no question. I mean, I would rather see that. Listen, I'd much rather see the Benavidez fight next, Canelo and Benavidez, than I would rather see Canelo and Charlo. But again, from a business standpoint, that's if I was his manager, that's the route I would go.
No, Mendez
toward Benavidez.
Miss Mendez, we were talking about if Canelo was going to fight Charlo. Charlo is not Mexican. We're not talking about Benavidez. Canelo. Eric was bringing up Charlo.
And Benavidez is Mexican American.
Yeah,
Canelo's Mexican. So that's where we come out.
That's what I said. Mexican American versus the Mexican. So, but if it's going to be if we go the Eric route. And it's Canelo versus Charlo, then that's an American Mexican rivalry. So we were talking about that,
and that's a big fight too. And listen, that's a big fight too, right there.
Yeah, but I like the Benavidez fight much better.
I do too. No question from a fan standpoint. Absolutely. Rafael 32. Thank you so much, my friend. He said, talk about the 2023 boxing season and how great it is. It's been good so far. I'll tell you that. It's been really good so far, right?
Yeah.
Take the fight last night out of it, and it's been great.
Come on,
because last night
we made money last night. Yeah, we both made money last night.
We both made money last night, but it's not the fight I want to see. It's not the fight I want to see.
I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't excited about it. But then when I saw the press conference and I saw all those people and I saw when he walked in the room how they were cheering him and I saw the looks on the children's faces, I got emotional, man. I got pumped up for it. You know how I get.
You got emotional.
I was bought. They sucked me in other words. They just suck.
We suck, man. We're the worst. We are the worst. GFT, thank you so much. He said Benavidez wins the hot wife battle. I don't know, Canelo's wife's pretty hot, no?
Yeah.
She's not bad. Yeah. I haven't seen I think I remember Benavidez's wife, and she's not
Benavidez's wife is very pretty, yeah. They're both very attractive young ladies.
Yeah. We'll say that.
We're gonna leave it at that.
Very respectful. Very respectful. That's being
we don't want to start any problems here.
Boxing, thank you so much. He said Jerry was body bagged last week by the King of Baltimore, and the King of Baltimore is this guy right here. That's right. He calls back, you get body bagged again. It's easy work. Easy work. All right. So this, I guess the co-main event here was Julio Cesar Martinez versus Ronald Batista for Martinez's WBC flyweight title. Martinez beats Batista by stoppage in the 11th round. Beeb, talk about this fight for a minute. Was it any good? Was this this is one-sided, no?
Batista came to win, and he had some moments early on, but Martinez was definitely overmatched by Martinez. Martinez scored 2 knockdowns, and then in the 7th round, a knockdown was scored. Originally, it was ruled a slip, and then it went to instant replay in between rounds, and that was overturned. And then this goofball of a broadcast team sitting there saying, "No, we've never seen this before. What's going on here? What's the deal? Why is Mauricio Sulaiman getting involved?" First of all, the WBC has had this rule since like 2013. They implemented it in the Tyson Fury fight where Tyson Fury had the gash over his eye, and they used it. Yeah. They used it to determine whether or not if it was from a punch or a headbutt, right? So this was a simple Google search by the 3 Stooges who were doing the broadcast for this fight, and they would have realized that. And I'll go one better. If this was Showtime and it was Jim Gray and he didn't know what was going on, what does Jim Gray do? And he goes we would have went right to Sulaiman and asked him, what's going on? Explain this rule, blah, 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 blah. These guys did none of that, right? And they just sat there and said, "Oh, we've never seen this before," right? It was a total embarrassment. Like these guys just couldn't do a little research to find out, that this was a rule that the WBC had in place. And it was just an embarrassment. And then you got Todd Grisham saying, "Oh, if Batista wins, he could be the first Panamanian champion."
What?
Have you not heard about Roberto Duran, goofball?
Oh my God!
And I don't want to turn this into a DAZN. Where do they get these guys? I don't want to turn this into a DAZN bashing show. But I'm watching the fight with my brother. Every now and then every now and then the thing was buffering. Every now and then it was getting foggy, and then it would go from HD to 720.
What's that stupid number that comes on the
number was up there again.
What is that? Why did they do that?
Yeah, and then it went out for a couple seconds. Again, this is not HD high level quality, right?
Nope.
And I was asked if Benavidez Canelo happens, should it be on DAZN?
No.
And I'm going to say unequivocally no, because that fight would be bigger than Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, and they're not going to be able to handle the bandwidth with all those extra pay-per-view buys that I anticipate them getting.
No.
So
they got to put this on. If they do, they'll put it on like DirecTV or something like that too.
Yeah. If Showtime is involved and I have a choice between Showtime and DAZN, this time I'm not I'm a cheap fuck. That's my problem. I'm a cheap son of a bitch, and that's why I bought the Ryan fight because I wanted to save the $20. I'm not going to risk having a fuck up for the Benavidez Canelo fight. I'm going to pay the 80 for that, or the 85 for that. I'm sorry.
Santero dropped the zone when they hiked it up to $225 per year. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm done.
And here's the thing. This is no knock on Eddie Hearn, because this whole guilty by association thing, like, oh, Showtime sucks because of Al Heyman. No, Showtime is a great network. They've done boxing for 37 years. They got all those. No one does. Like HBO used to do phenomenal production, but since I
thought HBO was better than Showtime.
Yeah, they were the king of production.
Yes, for sure.
But since HBO's exit, Showtime really does good production.
They do good work.
ESPN does phenomenal production.
They do good work too.
You can't compare what ESPN and Showtime does to the zone. They're just levels above the zone. Al Bernstein, Steve Farhood. You got Jim. Even though I don't like Jim Gray, he does do a good job with the interviewing.
Yeah,
I don't like him as a person. I think he's a smug prick sometimes. But he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Jesus, that was kind of harsh. I mean, like, that came out of left field. Why would you say something like that? Like, seriously? Like, you don't even know that dude, and you're like, he's smug, What's the matter with you?
Yeah, he's very disrespectful to the fighters.
Wow. Well, I don't know if I like where this conversation's going, man.
Sorry, I tell the truth. I know you like Jim Gray. I know you have an affinity towards this guy, but he's bad. I have a poster
of him right next to Teddy Atlas on my wall.
He's bad news.
He's bad news. All right, what was the rest of this card on there? Didn't Gvozdyk fight on here or something like that?
Gvozdyk looked good. He got off to a slow start, but he came on. He scored a mid-round stoppage.
Yeah, that was worth the money. And there was another fight on there or something like that.
Steve Spark. That was a fight that I picked Steve Spark to win this fight. And I was surprised. He got knocked down, but I thought he edged it. I thought Steve Spark definitely edged the fight. I was surprised at the end. I said that, Venezuela and Steve Spark were going to get into kind of like a phone booth war, which they did. I thought Steve Spark landed the cleaner, harder blows in that phone booth war. But, Venezuela did land a good body shot, put Spark down. It was a close fight, but I do think Spark closed it strong. I thought Spark won the fight, thought he edged it. But I said on the roundtable, I said I could see myself. I picked Spark to win by decision. He lost by split decision. I picked him to win by decision, but what I did say on the roundtable was I could see my scorecard saying Spark as the winner, but him not getting the decision. And I'm not going to say it was a robbery. I kind of thought it was slightly a bad decision, but it was close enough where you could make an argument the other way. I'm not going to discredit.
It wasn't a robbery.
I don't think it was a robbery. I'm not going to discredit the scoring. I thought Venezuela did some good work in there. You could look at some of the rounds and say, Steve Sparks landing some cleaner shots, but he's being pushed back. Venezuela's busier. He's going to the body a little bit more. But did you like the flashier headshots, or did you like the grittiness of Valenzuela grinding it out up close to the body? So there's a certain learning curve to scoring, and not everyone has the same criteria when they're looking at fights. Some guys like the guys who are busier. Some guys like the busier guys. Other guys like the guys who do the cleaner work.
I would agree with that.
This is the way it is.
Across the pond, and I'm not sure maybe this was on DAZN. I think Robbie had told me something about this.
This was on Sky Sports, actually.
Sky Sports, that's right. He said he was going to listen to it on Talk Sport. I guess it was like a radio type thing or something like that.
Come on, what is this? What does he think? He's back in the 30s? What the fuck is this? What's this? Leave it to Beaver? I'm going to listen to the show or the fight on the radio, guys.
Come on, what's the matter with you? Joshua Buatsi versus Powell Stepien. Buatsi wins a unanimous decision, 98-92, 97-94, and 100-90. Who cares? All right, let's go to the schedule here. Let's see what's up on tap next week. May 13th from Stockton, ESPN Plus, Janibek Alim Kanuli versus Stephen Butler for Alim Kanuli's WBO middleweight title. I like watching him fight. He's a good fighter.
He's a good fighter, man.
Jason Maloney versus Vincent Astrolabio. 12 rounds for the vacant WBO bantamweight title. That's going to be a good fight too. Maloney's good. Both of those guys are good. Gabe Flores versus the dreaded TBA, and Amado Fernando Vargas versus the dreaded TBA also. So that'll be on Showtime or ESPN, I'm sorry, May 13th. I believe that's Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Now, May 13th also, there's a Showtime card. It's got Raleigh Romero on it versus still TBA. I haven't got an opponent on that yet. So he's going to main event. So that would be Raleigh Romero versus dreaded TBA. Gary Antoine Russell versus Kent Cruz, 10 rounds, junior welterweights. And Rancis Bartholomew versus Omar Juarez, friend of the show, Omar Juarez. I'm really looking forward to that fight. Out of all the fights this weekend, that's the one I want to see. Omar Juarez, who's a really good fighter, and Rancis Bartholomew, who's still a good fighter, but not where he was. So this could be a big opportunity for Omar Juarez. If he gets this one done, that's going to be insane. That'll mean so much to that kid, man. I'll tell you that right now.
Yes.
That kid, I mean, you remember interviewing him? He was like a scholar when he came in here, man. He was just he was such a nice guy too. So I like both of them guys, but I gotta lean toward Juarez in this, man. I hope he pulls it off, man.
Yeah.
May 20th. That's going to be the following week. That's the Devin Haney Vasil Lomachenko pay-per-view for Haney's undisputed lightweight championship, and we'll go over all that stuff next week. But yeah, I can't wait for that fight. That's
a good fight.
Really good fight.
Great fight, yeah.
76ers tied that thing up, babe. 2 games to 2 now.
This is crazy.
What is going on with your Celts, man?
They're making us sweat it out, man.
I don't understand. So how much are tickets to the games over there? Like if you want to go to the Garden and watch that game.
Like a couple hundred, man, for the playoff tickets. Yeah, they're expensive.
Man.
East Coast sucks, bro. Everything
for like
expensive.
Good seats or
kind of decent seats, yeah.
Yeah, that's still not bad. I guess if you're talking about for like a finals game or something like that, that's not too bad.
My friend gets him from work, so he went the other night. He went during the week. Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool, man. I wish Cleveland was in it, but
no.
Got beat by the Knicks, man.
That's because LeBron left you guys, man. Left us high and dry.
Didn't leave us high and dry. Hey, won us a title. Hey, you know what? LeBron can do whatever he wants to do now.
Look at you. You're not mad that he left.
Nope. He won us a title. He did it the right way. He won us a title, and then he says, you know what? I'm going to go on to LA. Hey, you know what? You do you. You got us a title. He made schools over here and everything like that up in Cleveland.
We got to give him credit for that. Yeah, we got to give him credit for that.
Nobody does that anymore.
We got to give him credit for that.
Well, he's a true hero. He's from Ohio. This is how we are. This is how it is in Titletown, baby. We always watch each other. Chess King 69. Thank you very much. He said Garcia needs to look at Ryder's Warrior Code. Oh, wow.
I mean, it's tough. Man.
That's rough, man. That's rough.
It's tough, man.
That's rough. But listen, man. He didn't get hit. He didn't get hit too much in there.
You got to cut the guy some slack a little bit, please.
Yeah, he didn't get hit in the body like that, man. Come on.
Please cut the guy some slack.
Oh, man.
He deserves better than that.
That's cold-blooded, man. All right, let's see here. Tell you what, let's go to the phones real quick. Let me bring in Robert, Ringside Robert. 530, you're live.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Oh, we're wonderful. Wonderful.
That's great.
Real great. Because I like taking a pie to the face. That's wonderful. You should listen to Joe and people like me when we tell you things are going to go.
Now he's going to gloat. Now he's going to gloat.
Yeah, now he's going to gloat.
No, I'm not gloating, but I knew that Ryder would go the distance. I knew that Canelo would win, but I knew that Ryder would go the distance. And guys, think about it. Canelo's had 63 fights. Is it the fact that he might be slowing down because he's slowing down, or he's had too many professional fights?
I think both. I mean, I think both, man. I mean, you got to look at like Canelo has been fighting since what? I mean, he was in his teens.
He started fighting as a professional at 15 years old.
15.
And he's 32 now. Yeah,
you gotta give Canelo credit, man.
Boxing, thank you so much. He wants to know, Robert, were the Mexicans in Robbie City celebrating the Canelo win last night?
I'm sure that they were.
Robbie doesn't associate with him. He doesn't know.
Seriously, guys, Eddie Hearn said something very interesting last night after the fight. He goes, because Chris Mannix asked him, well, what are you going to advise Canelo to do next? And Eddie says, Canetti and Eddie Reynoso tell me what to do. I don't tell them what to do. And he said they are both convinced that they want the B-ball fight. So he said, unless they tell me otherwise, that's what I'm going to try and get for them. I guarantee you, no matter whether it's 175 or 168, that is a major mistake. He needs to go straight to David Benavidez.
Do you think it's out of the question? Do you think it's out of the question that he knows Bivol's not going to come to 168 and fight him? Or he's not going to go to 175? He's not going to fight him at 175. Do you think he knows that?
Well, he might. But I believe Dimitri Bivol when he says, hey, look, I can't get the Benavidez fight. I'll come down to 168. And I'll take your title. But
he's not going to do that. He doesn't. Canelo's not going to have the fight at 168. Canelo's going to have the fight at 175, and that's that.
So see, that's his way of saying, well, we couldn't agree on terms because we couldn't agree on weight.
Exactly where I was. So he's ducking him. So you're admitting he's ducking him.
Whoa!
That's exactly the way it looks. Yeah.
Robbie, you can't character assassinate Canelo Alvarez like that, Robbie. I can't let you do that, bro.
I mean, look, Beeb, I'm just saying it. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. I mean,
Okay, Joe. Look at it this way. Do you have a logical explanation why, why he wouldn't give Bivol the shot at 168? I mean, if the guy is willing,
because he'll get crucified by the public. Oh, well, are you draining Bivol? You know what the people are going to do. You know how this works.
Yeah. Well, Bivol is a big enough guy. He could easily make 168 and beat Canelo with no problem. And then
who are you, Richard Simmons? What are you, a nutritionist? What do you know about making weight? You weigh 20. You weigh about freaking 110 pounds with an anvil soaking wet in your back pocket. You're telling people how to make weight? Please,
that's right.
You're a jockey.
That's right.
Papa Chubby, thank you so much. He said, "Great show, guys. Canelo will never beat Bivol." I agree. The style's just not there.
No, he's not going to beat him, no matter what weight it is.
He could fight him in Mexico. He could fight him in the same spot as he did Ryder. He ain't winning that fight, son.
Yeah. No. And you know what? He may not beat David Benavidez either. So,
You mean he may not? You said David Benavidez. You said David Benavidez last week would knock him out. Now what are you doing? Now you're waffling on it?
Joe, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Canelo at this stage of his career will beat a younger, stronger David Benavidez. I really don't think so. So either way he goes, I think he's in trouble. And you have to look at the fact he's had 63 professional fights. How many more fights can this guy squeeze out of his body?
He's going on his 19th year as a pro almost. He's up there and he's got some miles on the tank. There's no question about it.
And that's the thing. I mean, that's the tough thing, man, is that he's got all those miles on him. It's not even that he's older and he's slowing down. It's the fact that he's got all those miles on him.
You can't last forever. You can't last forever.
Berenice Mendez says that Canelo is the A side, just like Tank, right? Canelo is always in any fight he fights. Canelo will always be the A side. I don't care who he fights.
This is what I've always tried to tell people, and you can agree or disagree with this. Every time a fight doesn't get made that everyone wants, the A side always gets blamed because the A side is the person who people perceive as having control of the situation. And when the fight doesn't get made, they always frame it as if the A side is being a prima donna. We've seen this time and time again. They used to say it about Mayweather with Pacquiao. Say Fury, Usyk, like everyone. And Canelo's been on the blunt end of this. Every time a big fight doesn't get made, they always blame the A side. Gervonta Davis and all these other guys. Right. They always blame the A side.
Floyd was at his prime at 36. No, he wasn't. Floyd was at his prime when he was at the lightweights.
And that's another thing.
When he was at welterweight, he was not in his prime. That was not his prime. That was not a prime Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather was better when he was at the lower weight.
When he fought Diego Corrales, that was prime.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. people like they have different sets of rules for Floyd Mayweather. It's almost like he's Captain America and he was frozen in time and he never aged when everyone else did. Oh, well, he aged Pacquiao out. Do you guys not know that like Floyd Mayweather is 3 years older than Manny Pacquiao? I mean, he's older than Manny Pacquiao. So how did it's not Floyd's fault that Manny Pacquiao turned pro when he was like 17 years old and he had a different style and took more shots than Floyd did. That's not Floyd's fault. Just look at it like this. Mayweather was turning 37 and he was still thought of as the best fighter in the world at that time. What does that say? He's a special guy.
Yeah, I tell you what, at his tail end of his career, when everybody had him pound for pound number one, I had Andre Ward pound for pound.
You did, I remember.
I thought Andre Ward was just a more complete fighter. I thought he was
you made a good argument for it.
He was younger, stronger, better. You can't,
you made a good argument for it. You made a very good argument for it.
Guy. All right, Robert. So I paid up my bet, even though I think if you would have won, I don't think you would have paid your side up. But I'm a man, you know what I mean? So I paid my bet.
Yes, I would have.
Mrs. Herrick.
I thought in the fifth. Hey, I thought in the fifth round I was going to have to pay up my end of the bet because I thought.
Yeah, I know. I thought so too. I was like, oh man. He said, I don't know why he didn't finish it.
Mrs. Herrick called me up and said to me, Joe, please don't make Robert have to do that if he loses this bet, please. And I said, Mrs. Herrick, this is out of my control. This is out of my control, Mrs. Herrick. I have no control over this. I tried to stop it. I tried to put a kibosh on it. Robbie, he's hard-headed. When he wants to do something, he does it. I can't stop him.
That's right.
You got
I
lucky.
do it my way.
You got lucky.
All right, Robert. We're going to put you on hold here. All right. So before I go back to the phones, let's talk about the news here real quick because I don't think you guys are as maybe you're mad as I am, or maybe not. I don't know. News and rumors this week, man. Deontay Wilder. We'll start with Deontay Wilder first here. He was arrested and charged with possession of a concealed weapon. According to TMZ, officers pulled Wilder over in Hollywood for illegally tinted windows and an obstructed license plate on his Rolls Royce. Officers smelled marijuana during the stop and found a 9mm gun in an ensuing search of the vehicle. This is a felony. Now, you may be asking why they searched it, because they smelled marijuana. So they only need reasonable suspicion to search your car. They don't need reason. You know what I mean? They only need reasonable suspicion. They can go right in there. That's all they have to say.
Now, people are questioning, well, why do you get stopped? Isn't marijuana legal in California? It is, but you still can't be under the influence. It's the same thing as alcohol. You can't be under the influence while you're driving.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's a DUI. I mean, anytime you're driving with that stuff or alcohol, it's DUI. I mean, why would that be any different?
And in a lot of people, marijuana is used as a sedative. It helps people go to sleep. It helps people with pain. Yeah. And, it impairs people cognitively too, so they can't complete tasks while they're on it. So I don't think I wouldn't want to be, in the passenger seat of someone driving a car under the influence of marijuana.
No, or driving heavy machinery or anything like that. No way.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
There's reasons for that.
Yeah.
This is a felony. I don't think he's going to see any real time for it. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to do any time. I think he's going to have a slap on the wrist. He'll just get a ticket or something like that. I don't think it's going to be anything major. And why do I think that way? Because I'll tell you why. Leads me into our next story here. Tank Davis, all right, hit 4 people. One of them pregnant woman back in 2020, right? Back in 2020, hit this girl, a pregnant woman. Also, wasn't she pregnant at the time?
Pregnant at the time, yes.
Yeah,
correct.
And so they delayed sentencing so he could have this fight with Garcia. Tank Davis was sentenced to 90 days house arrest. 90 days, stating that he has demonstrated a, quote, consistent pattern of disobeying the law, end quote. A judge on Friday sentenced Baltimore boxing champion Tank Davis to 90 days of home detention, plus 3 years probation for a hit and run that injured 4 people, including a pregnant woman in 2020. Besides spending time in home detention, Davis has to perform 200 hours of community service, complete a program at the R. Adams Crowley Shock Trauma Center at the University of Maryland, and take part against Mothers Against Drunk Driving Victim Impact Panel. He also must pay a $100 fine. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, OJ, Tank Davis, we might as well add Deontay to the list. I mean, he's going to get off, no problem, which he should. I don't think that was a huge deal. But I guess if you're calling DUI, maybe it is a bigger deal. But I mean, come on, man. For real? 90 days of probation? The worst part about the whole thing is he has suspended in Baltimore, not in his house in Florida. And so he's going to stay at his trainer's house. And
then during the trial,
during
the trial, his counsel asked, can he still go to the gym? And the judge said no. And I guess Tank Davis made a face like he was like,
yeah, oh yeah, he made a face. Yeah, I remember that.
And the judge, this was a different judge than the original judge that rejected his plea deal. So they had a different judge this time around. So it wasn't the same judge.
And the judge still ran him through the ringer, you know, and said all this. Oh, you showed a history of violating the law. It's in your history. You're driving without a license. Blah blah blah, and gives him 90 days
and he is
of house arrest.
And the judge said he is still yet to apologize, show remorse for this incident.
And so what do you do to reward that? What do you do? You give him 90 days of house arrest.
Yeah.
And $100 fine, by the way.
And let's make this clear, guys. This isn't us just being sadistic people wishing bad on people who screw up. But here's the thing.
Jesus, I mean, what about the lives he screwed up?
That's exactly where I'm going with this.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You got to look at the victims here. And you have to empathize with the victims and put yourself in the victims. Because everyone's like, oh, why are you guys celebrating this? And you got Ellie Ballback here on YouTube, like criticizing people for pointing all these things out about the situation. Oh, people are actually celebrating Tank, saying he's going to jail. No, people just want accountability. They want accountability, and they want the victims to be made whole again, right? And they want to be assured that with Tank being punished, it'll be a deterrent for him doing this in the future. So this whole thing about oh, you're a Tank hater, oh, you're celebrating, you're wishing. No, I'm showing empathy.
Right.
I'm showing empathy for the victim here, who will never be the same again. And then people say, well, does it make a difference? He says he's sorry. He doesn't mean it. Here's the thing. Let the victim be the judge of if he means it or not. By not saying anything at all, you're not even giving people a chance to even determine whether or not.
Didn't say a word.
Yeah.
Didn't say a word. I'm sorry. You're guilty. You're found guilty. You're going to be sentenced. Didn't even say I'm sorry. The victims were up there speaking. He didn't say anything to him. Didn't address him. Nothing.
Horrible, man.
Really?
Horrible.
Boxing, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. He said Jerry waited so long last week and just got body bagged.
He'll get body bagged again.
He did. I wouldn't. Yeah, body bagged him. It's almost not even fun anymore because it's so predictable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what's happening. Man.
It's almost like it's almost like you're a bully at this point.
Which I'm fine with. I'm not too crazy about that.
And here's the other thing. The whole thing with his girlfriend, the assault charge, even though she recanted her claims and did not press charges, the state is still pressing charges on him. And the state, it's very customary that the state does this because a lot of times the state realizes that the person who commits the assault will always go back and talk to the victim and lay the guilt trip and kind of coerce the victim into recanting and, saying I'll never do it again. And then the victim also depends on that person, whether it be for finances, whether it be because it's the father of the child, it takes care of the household, whatever. And that's the thing. So that's why a lot of times the state, even though the victim will recant claims and not press charges, they go ahead and do it anyways because they feel as though the crime has been committed and the victim is just being manipulated to do just that and take her, the statement off the table and recant the claims, which happens very often. Like statistically, I think like 80 to 85% of the victims recant their claims. And it's due to the manipulation of the person who committed the assaults. Right.
It's unreal. I mean, it really is unbelievable. I could not believe it when that came down. When I heard 90 days, I thought, wow, he got 90 days. Not great, but 90 days in. I mean, it'll teach him a lesson, whatever. Show you that you're not above the law. Turns out he is above the law. Yeah. Turns out he's absolutely above the law. Yeah. Seriously? This takes nothing away from him as a boxer. Him as a boxer and him as a human, two totally different things.
Yeah.
So like I said, nobody's hating on anybody here. It's just, look, put yourself in their shoes. If there was any one of us, anybody in the chat, pulled that nonsense, you think we're having this conversation right now? No. You're in jail, son. Real quick, Ryan Garcia drops Joe Goossen as a trainer. Garcia dropped Joe Goossen after his loss to Davis. Goossen said, you have to collaborate with Ryan Garcia, not come up with a plan. You kind of have to collaborate. You don't tell him what to do. Man, that's not going to work. It just doesn't work, man. If Ryan Garcia is not this great, big, brilliant boxing mind, that's why you have a trainer. That's why you have a team to put you in the right direction here, man. I think Garcia had the completely wrong game plan against Davis. Now, he said he got bored in the fight, and which is why he was caught in that second round with that left hand. It was the second round. You were bored? You were bored in there in the second round? 8th, 9th round, maybe. Second round, really?
Eric, I don't know about you, but getting punched in the face and getting busted up in the ribs, that ain't boring to me, man. No, that's boring. Right. That's boring. Then I hate to see what's exciting, man. What are you going to do? Draw and quarter me or something? What happens after? Jesus,
lift diving or something? Man, I don't know, man. But like I tell you what, man. Like what I was like, But that was his game plan was to be aggressive. And I told you prior to that fight, the best game plan for him, he can outbox Davis all night. If he uses the jab, he's got to reach on him, use the jab, stay away from him. I thought don't get any unnecessary exchanges. I thought that would have been the best game plan going in. Now, are there other game plans? Sure there is. But he executed the wrong one, in my opinion. And Joe Goossen, listen, I mean, what do you say to a guy who comes in the gym and just wants to do it his way? I mean, what do you say to that?
Imagine going to work and just saying,
sure.
Like, you can't tell me what to do. You just
I'm going to do what I want to do.
Just going to do what I want to do. Come in when I want to come in.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Do whatever. Yeah. I don't get it.
It's crazy.
Ahmed says Garcia wants to be surrounded by yes men. I agree. I agree with it. I agree. Regis Prograis signed a deal with Matchroom, a 3-fight deal. This is a great move by Prograis. He's been off the map for quite some time now, in the sense not in the public eye. You know what I mean? He's one of the best fighters out there, arguably the best at that weight. He needed this, and he'll get paid with Hearn, and he'll get recognition with Hearn.
Yeah, it's not a bad
Matchroom. It's a good move. Good move.
No problem.
Gabe Rosado retired this week. He announced on social media his retirement. I think this is a good move. He's got nothing left to prove. He's done it all. You know what I mean? He really has. He's a warrior. Listen, man, he can go into acting. He can do what he wants now. Do your thing, man. He's earned it. Zhilei Zhang is now the front runner for Tyson Fury. Bob Arum has stated that Zhilei Zhang is now the front runner for Tyson Fury next. Listen, I'd much rather see this fight than Wilder Fury 4. All right. But let's face it, man. If Joe Joyce would have won that fight, he'd be facing Joe Joyce next. Right? Am I wrong here?
Possible.
I mean, really, he would have been the front runner. Joe Joyce would have been the front runner.
Yeah.
So that's what I think, man. I think that I like that fight. I don't mind the fight. It's not a great fight, but the feeling is that he'll fight closer to the end of the year, and that'll be the Usyk fight over in Dubai or wherever it is.
I think the Zhang fight will be in July, and then they'll have the other fight. And
that's what makes sense.
Yeah,
that's what makes sense. All right, guys. Hey, listen, guys, we got over 100 people listening right now. We only got 50 likes, man. Let's try to hit the like button, man. Let's get this up. If you like what we're doing, even if you don't like what we're doing, if you're listening, man, just hit the like button. That's all. We try to give you guys content every week. Beeb, let me go back to that Ryan Garcia thing right before I go back to the phones here. Who do you think his next trainer should be? Rumor is he's contacting Eddie Reynoso for it. Who do you think that should be?
Maybe Robert Garcia.
I think Robert Garcia is good. You wonder, like Eddie Reynoso, like he's already been there. You know what I mean? Like he left Eddie Reynoso because he didn't, so why go back? I don't know.
You know what my favorite trainer is, honestly, but I don't think it would be a good fit for him. My favorite trainer right now in boxing is Buddy McGirt. I love Buddy McGirt as a trainer.
Yeah, I like Buddy McGirt. I tell you, I like Derek James too. I think Derek James does a good job with fighters, but I think they have to be a certain style of fighter for Derek James. But I do think Ryan Garcia kind of fits that mold. I think he would do well with Derek James. I don't think Anthony Joshua fits the Derek James mold.
No, he doesn't.
I just don't think he does. I thought Robert Garcia, I tell you what, he was dumb for getting rid of Robert Garcia. I think that he did.
With Joshua?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gave him one fight. It was actually a decent fight, too.
I thought he put up a better fight. I thought he put up a better fight in that second fight than he did in the first one.
Yeah. It wasn't a bad performance. Wasn't a bad performance.
Yeah. All right, here. Let's go to, I believe this is Hamed. 1-1-1-1-1 overseas. Hamed, you're live.
Yeah, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. I thought I'd call in. I was just going to say, I agree that I think the Canelo Benavidez fight is 50-50, but I do think some people are going extreme one way or the other. I still think if Benavidez takes the amount of punishment John Ryder did, I think Benavidez can get knocked out because he has been dropped before, and I don't know if he's durable or as tough as John Ryder and some of these other guys who went the distance with Canelo, but at this stage of Canelo's career, I would probably have to favor Benavidez. I think over 12 rounds, I think if Benavidez can keep the volume up and just win round after round, I think he could beat him. But it's one of those fights, I think you could make an argument either way.
Sure.
But I'm not sure if it's going to happen next. And at that point, I don't know, will it be the same fight? Say if Bivol beats him, will that fight still be as interesting or as big in America, do you think?
I think it loses a little bit of momentum coming off another loss to Bivol, but it's still doable. It just makes more sense to go into the Benavidez fight first and then go, if you want to revisit the Bivol fight, revisit the Bivol fight after that. Because I think the Benavidez fight is just such a huge fight. Why do anything to ruin that, right? Why do anything to take some of the luster away from that fight? I think it's a mega event. So I think that's something that they should jump on right away.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening. I don't think the Bivol fight will happen at super middleweight. Because if he loses to Bivol at super middleweight, the Benavidez fight will probably lose a lot of luster. It won't be for any else. And at that point, I don't know if Canelo will have any bargaining chips. I know he's still a big name, but like in America, I don't know. Like if this fight did well, I know it did well in Mexico. So I don't know if that Bivol fight will happen next.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, like heavily.
Yeah, I don't think it happens. I don't think it happens.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens next. It's my opinion.
What about Bivol fought Gavozdi? Do you think that's a good fight? Because I wouldn't mind seeing that. I would rather see Bivol fight someone else.
No, if Bivol's not going to fight Canelo next, his next fight's got to be against better Beef.
He'll probably end up fighting.
He's going to fight Book though.
He'll probably end up fighting Boazzi. He should fight Boazzi next if he can't get the Better Beef fight, because Better Beef is going to be fighting Caleb Smith next in August. So
that's not a bad fight. That's not a bad fight. Yeah. I don't favor Caleb Smith in there, but it's not a bad fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Boazzi's already turned on the fight. That's why I didn't mention him. But I don't think they're going to put him in there.
He should take it now.
Canelo's going to face Badu Jack in November.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised. It would not surprise me.
I wouldn't mind the Gavozdi fight. I do think Bivol and Batista need to fight, then Canelo and Benavidez need to fight. But that's, I think, one of the best fights in boxing to be made. My only contention is I don't think it's going to happen next, the Benavidez and Canelo fight, because I don't think none of these big fights really happen when we want to see them. We still haven't seen Crawford and Spence or Usyk and Fury, so I have my doubts, but I don't know if the Bivol fight doesn't happen. I don't know where Canelo goes. I'm being serious. I don't know. Like, he's got options, but I don't know if there's another big fight outside Benavidez.
There you go.
All right.
All right, huh, man. We're going to get running, man. Thank you so much for the call. Calling all the way across the pond, Beeb.
Staying up late.
Across the pond, Beeb.
Wants to give you that work.
9-1. That's right. 917, New York. You're live.
Yep. Eric, I'm wishing you all the best with Cincinnati FC. And Joe, loving the outfit, man. Really.
Gotta pay Canelo homage, man. He made me a lot of money. He made me a lot of money yesterday. Canelo made me a lot of money yesterday. So
Órale.
Yeah. ¡Viva México, cabrones!
I'll tell you what, FC had a big win yesterday, man.
So, yeah. I mean, look, it was a big win. You know, the boo birds are always going to be out when it comes to Canelo. I mean, if Canelo crosses the street, there's going to be someone saying that he didn't do it properly and giving him critical feedback. So, you know, he decided to walk too early. You know, he should have waited for the pedestrian sign to turn a certain color. I mean, it is what it is. I thought he did pretty well. It seems like he was testing things out a little bit, especially coming off of a hand injury. And, you know, I agree with Hamed a lot of the time. I don't really think that I've seen any reason to favor Benavidez over Canelo at this point. Mostly because he just has not fought anywhere near Canelo's level just yet. So, you know, when you go into these kind of fights, you know, you always got to ask yourself, what has he really done to make me believe that he's going to pull this one out? And until he does it, you know, I'm going to be a skeptic on that one. He's obviously performed very well, but against very low-level opposition. So if I'm Canelo, that's the fight I go to. You know, as a fan, I'd rather see Bivol better beat anyway than to see Canelo Bivol too. I was at Canelo Bivol. It was a comprehensive win. So it's not really a fight I need to see again, personally. But Eric, I mean, which one would you rather see at this point, Benavidez or Bivol?
Benavidez. Yeah, the Bivol's not winnable. The Bivol's not a winnable fight. And I don't know what him and his trainer are both claiming they want Bivol next. I don't know what they're seeing in that fight. I don't know what they're seeing that they can exploit, because he got beat soundly in that fight. That fight was not close.
The only thing I can think of is that they had an injury that, in retrospect, they really realized affected them a lot, more than they let out. But other than that, I mean, if he was anywhere near full health going into that fight, it was a comprehensive win. I'm not in favor of rematches in general. So unless there's some kind of controversy, you know, you can just move it along. But like I said, better be Bivol is the fight I think most fans should be clamoring for. I do got to say something, though. I've been following the back and forth for the last couple of weeks, you know, with Joe's arguments on one side and other people have made other arguments on the other side. I see no reason why Canelo wouldn't be able to fight on Showtime should a Benavidez fight need to happen, especially if they're offering the more money. You know, one thing I will give Matchroom credit for is being able to do the kind of extravagant entrances they did last night. I mean, that's got to be top 3 I've ever seen in the history of the sport of boxing. I mean, that shit last night was epic. Obviously, it's not something we see on, you know, Queensbury or Top Rank or Showtime. But in terms of making the fight happen, if he has to go to Showtime, I see no reason why he shouldn't go to Showtime. The other thing, too, honestly, is I don't know what's happened with the Zone, but their production has been dropping a little bit. Ring walks aside, me personally, I heard like a lot of like hot mic stuff Saturday. It seemed like they dropped the microphone and it was like sitting on the floor somewhere. You know, I heard, you know, that kind of mic noise throughout the telecast.
Yeah.
You know, they really need to sort that out. You know,
It's a mess over there.
Complete mess. Complete mess.
Especially when they're charging people $60 on top of their annual subscription.
55.
So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, Canelo. Oh, sorry, 55. I'm sorry, $5 more. Yeah,
right. The whole $5 more. Yeah.
Oh shit.
But I mean, sorry for rounding up. You know, literal rounding error. But yeah, I mean, they really need to fine tune that. Having said that, I do think that the Regis Prograis move was a good one to go to Matchroom. I mean, especially if they're paying him the most amount of money.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people saying that he should go to Top Rank. Top Rank's got one champion in the division, Josh Taylor. Believe it or not, the other two champions are aligned with the PBC, and then there's Regis Prograis, who up until this weekend was a free agent. So, I mean, yeah, I don't see any reason why big fights can't happen for Prograis, being that he's aligned to Matchroom. So on that note, everybody hit the like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, support my brothers, Eric and Joe, with a membership. And thank you for having me on. I'm going to just enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
Thank you so much, Maestro.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, man. All right, Raphael, thank you so much. He said, make these fights happen. Everybody is forgetting about the Inoue Fulton fight, and we all know it's on the fighter, Spence's fault. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. We haven't forgotten about the Inoue fight. It was pushed back or whatever. But I'll tell you what, that's a good fight. That's a solid fight. That's like an underlooked fight, I think, because of how good Inoue is. But it's not like Fulton sucks. He's pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a really good fight. The only qualm I have, it's in Japan. I understand, I get it, but yeah, I like to see him come out of Japan, you know, and see what he's got. 214. This is from Dallas, Texas. I can't remember if this is the same one as last week, but we'll find out, I guess. 214, you're live.
What's up, guys? It's the inevitable.
Inevitable.
Okay, we're good. We're good. We got pranked. We got pranked by someone from Dallas last week. We think. We don't know.
Yeah, with somebody.
No, I wasn't. Well, I mean, I didn't have an issue with the zone like I tell you guys. I saw the fight with my family, and we had a good time. Commentary and everything like that. I thought it was fair. You know, it wasn't the greatest. Of course, you know, you can't have everything. You know what I mean? I know we want everything, but we can't have everything. It's always something to critique. You know, and they'll work on that. But just the way Matchroom, just the whole way, just the way everything was just presented to us. I've never seen that ever in my life. I wish I would have seen that when well, let's just say I saw it and I'm happy for it. I'm glad that I purchased it for like $55. Canelo, you know, maybe he just wanted to go in there and just knock this guy out. You know, he didn't have any lateral movement, no head movement. He was just there the whole time. And the ring was small. I mean, I've never seen a ring that small ever in my life.
It's tiny.
But, you know, but do I see Benavidez now at the right age to beat Canelo? No, because I've seen so many things of Benavidez that just shows me who he really is as a fighter. He just comes forward, and you know, he starts to bully. But even Canelos Plan was giving him a hell of a boxing match. You know, he was outmaneuvering him, outthinking him. It's just, you know, I mean, of course, Benavidez looked bad in the first 6 rounds. I can say that. Canelo will have a totally different game plan against Benavidez. And I think Canelo beat him, you know, probably knocked him out. Bivol, I saw the first 4 rounds between Canelo and Bivol, and Canelo was doing good. You know, it's just he gassed out, injury, whatever he was going through. And maybe they see that game plan. Like, look, this is the way we started. We're better equipped now. You're not injured. We're going to go with better stamina. We got to work on some techniques, hit the body a little bit more instead of, because you could see Canelo was trying to do what he did with Liam Smith. He kept on hitting him on the shoulders, and Bivol said the same thing. So I think his game plan will be different. I think Canelo, in reality, I mean, the guy's always good at rematches. I mean, he beat Triple G, you know what I mean? But what you say? I mean, what do y'all say about that, guys?
I mean, you can make an argument either way. I actually think Benavidez does beat Canelo, but there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me. I think on
It's
paper,
a good fight. It's
yeah,
it's a 60-40 fight, especially in the
Yeah.
betting eyes. I mean, it's going to be 50-50
Yeah.
before it's all said and done.
yeah, it's going to be a close one, but Canelo definitely will be favored, but I do think there is some slippage. I think Benavidez is more skilled than people give him credit for. When he moves forward, he does block a lot of those shots coming forward. He does catch and shoot a lot. He's good at parrying shots. He's really quick on his feet. He's got quick hands. I think he's got an underrated jab. He's a good inside fighter. He's a big, strong kid. He does know how to bully you a lot. Does know how to grab you and kind of walk you back and maul you into position where he wants to play. If he wants to push you back to the ropes, he's really good at doing that. His jab is very underrated. It's a heavy jab that knocks you back. It's not just a jab that sets up punches. It's a jab that actually knocks his opponent backward and off rhythm. So I see a lot of different things in Benavidez than most people do, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I got to say one thing about that, since we're talking about, the way Benavidez comes at you, and he said he's okay with his jab. Yeah, he has a good jab. But have we ever seen Benavidez push back or bully? Where I see Canelo was doing that to Triple G in the second fight. Because he said he's not good.
But you got two different size guys in there. Triple G is one size, and David Benavidez is definitely.
David Benavidez is the thing about David Benavidez
animal right there. Yeah.
The thing about David Benavidez is he's so big, but not only big, he's very athletic and he's quick, and he's just he's a very versatile fighter, in my opinion. I think a lot of things he does really gets overlooked. When you watch him coming forward, how he's picking those shots off and he's parrying those shots, he's knocking your hands down and coming over the top of your hands once he knocks him down. And then he grabs you with one arm and punches you with the other. He's just a very, very tough style to deal with, in my opinion. He fights a very grueling type style, regardless of win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
When you fight David Benavidez, you're going to be in a fight. There's no question about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, Inevitable, we're going to get rolling here, man. Thank you so much. Real quick. Go ahead, real quick.
Thanks, guys. Okay, appreciate it. Yeah, I was just going to say, to be the face of boxing, like the way they've been saying about Gervonta Tank Davis, I mean, the guy just got through saying, they just got through telling him he has 90 days. Where we saw the actual face of boxing fight last night, and you saw the magnitude of what it was, or what he brings to boxing. So that's when they try to say that Tank Davis is the face of boxing. I just can't see it, guys. That's all I got to say. D-Block, D-Town, D-City, D-Ville, Baltimore, stand up.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. You can't really have a face of boxing who does something like that. That's just not part of the deal. It's just not.
Canelo is. He's been more consistent. So that was a great event, Ryan and Tank, but that's one event. Canelo's been doing big events his whole life.
Yeah, I would agree.
Just the way I see it.
19 years pro, is that what you said?
Yeah, if they want to put Tank in the conversation, that's fine. But I don't think that he's got the spot yet. But
there you go. All right, last call of the night here from Long Island, 516. You're live. And again, maybe you're not. All right. You get a shot. All right, let's go to 806 real quick. 806, you're live.
Yeah, I'd like to eat your asshole with pop rocks in my mouth, and then I'll fuck you in the ass.
Oh no, is that guy again?
It's that guy, yeah, right.
What is the point of that? I don't get it.
I don't know. Maybe he's
And he calls in with different area codes too, bro.
You see, you got your outfit on today. He's probably role playing you. He's probably thinking, wow, I can't wait.
Ain't gonna happen.
Probably got him, man.
Ain't gonna happen.
You're that star, man. That's the deal. You're that star,
That's right.
What are you gonna do? All right, guys, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on YouTube, Ringside Reporter Live, and Joe Habib on Twitter at JHabib1. Find me on Ringside 73 at Ringside 73 on Twitter, and we will see you guys next week.